morning. What a better setting than yesterday. Yesterday, we started the show. It was a debacle. It's really a debacle before the show with what happened in stock markets. Welcome to ATI Pro Media. We're powered by Advanced Trading. Today, Connor B will be co-hosting. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to go right to LaSalle Street, Mr. Rick, and then we're going to go to Wall Street after that. Then Connor's going to come on. He wants to talk a lot today. I owe Connor an apology. He said, I did a classic Tommy. I said, Connor, say something, and then I start talking. You got to go back and watch the blooper reel on that one. All right, good news. These corn down a half. Soybeans SEP down 12. No beans down 11. Meal and oil. Meal down a little bit. Oil down a little bit more, 65. Let's take it to Wheat Street. Border Trade wheat down 5.2. KC down 7.4. Hard red spring down 5.6. Woo-wee, have I heard some good yields in the hard red spring area. The boys up north said, don't tell anyone, but I can't help it. I'm here to tell the truth. We're going to go over facts, not feelings. Cattle doing better today. Cattle up 60. Feeder cattle up 150. That's good to see. They had a rough day yesterday. Definitely some people got stopped out of that market. There, let's take it to Wall Street, Mr. Brick. Let's go to gold. Gold down 5, silver down 4. These are cents, well, dollars in gold. Gold down $5, silver down a little bit here. 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year, all the bonds are down. That means interest rates are going back up. That risk off trade is unwinding. We'll be talking a lot more about that here in a little bit. But crude oil up 45, natural gas up 42, still has a 19 handle. Golly, it feels like natural gas is cheap. You know, it's not cheap. Fertilizer, and Connor and I will talk about that. Dow Jones up 340, NASDAQ up 160, S&P up 53, Bitcoin. Let me check on Bitcoin. God, I keep forgetting to update my quotes. All these quotes switch every day. Bitcoin up, call it 2,000. Dr. Copper up a little bit. With that, Connor B, welcome to the show. The stage is yours, my friend. Connor B. There he is.
Hey,
Nobody
morning,
puts baby
Tommy
in the corner. Full screen, Connor. What's going on, buddy?
Number one, no need to apologize, Tommy. We've done this show for how many times? 100 times. I know when you're ready to go, there's no stopping. You're a freight train. You got to say what you got to say. And so today, right, we got commodities down a little bit, but right, the scare, I don't know, the recession worries, they're not going away, but we've got the Nikkei bouncing, rallying pretty good from yesterday. And so, you know, that was the big talking point yesterday on our show, Tommy, in the world, right? And so the more I learn about it, it's fascinating to me. So I'm going to take a stab at what happened, and I'm going to put it in Central Illinois Farm Boys terms, right? And so
let's do it.
We were Nikkei, right? Or Japan had negative interest rates, very low interest rates. So what players were doing is we were borrowing money in Japanese currency, right? Buying equities, U.S. equities, anywhere really, right? And so then what happened is Japan decided to raise rates. Talk of the U.S. lowering rates. Haven't seen it yet. Hopefully we'll see it in September. Time will tell. And so then we see that trade unwinding. The big term is carry trade, right? We were borrowing money in Japanese yen at very cheap interest rates, buying equities. And then when that dried up, right, then suddenly we had to unwind that position. And so I feel like us in the ag space, right, we talk about carries and spreads all the time. A little bit different in the commodity market, but there's one thing I know is when we talk carries, when we talk spreads, there's only one rule, Tommy. There are no rules.
I like that. You want to see something so funny that's going to make you laugh here? I got to show you something. I wanted to go find that tweet. There's a guy who did a tweet, and it's a 90-second video of him explaining what happened, and it's really good. I watched it 3 times. And today on the show, you said, let's talk about this carry trade. I'm like, I so understand it for myself, but not to explain it. There's a podcast I had to listen to, but I went to log on to my X, and this is what I saw. This is too funny. You want to see something funny?
Yeah.
This is me and you watching me and you. Now
here we go.
Here we
go.
Let's see how slow it is. Yeah, look at that. You and I watching you and I. Of course. Oh, there it is. A little delay there. All right. So the guy on Twitter, I'm going to, for premium clients, and clients of Tom Grisafi, or
the one you showed me, right? That's what you're talking about.
I'm going to email that to Advanced Trading Brokers, and they are more than free to send that to everyone, because the time and effort and graphics this gentleman put into this 90-second video, number one, he deserves the credit. No one likes people stealing their stuff and not doing it. So it's not my slide, but it is out in public domain and it's brilliant. Also, my friend, I meet with him on the Cow Guy, Jim Yurio and another gentleman. They did a podcast on the carry trade, and I haven't listened to it yet, but it had like a lot of views and retweets. So it must have been good. These boys know what they're talking about. I'm going to send the Jim Yurio podcast and this graphic. I'll send that out to advanced trading clients and ATI Pro Media clients real quick.
Yeah.
You never stop learning in this business. I've been in this business a long time. I know when the you know what hits the fan, you got to watch the dollar yen because that's like an old school trade. But there's a whole group of youngsters who didn't know this could happen. And I just went for a long walk this morning. I went for a long walk tonight or last night because when the markets get crazy like this, you got to clear your head. You got to be sharp. And when this happens, someone gets really wealthy and someone goes really broke. When these VIX spike up here, '08 virus levels, and then yesterday. I mean, if you would have told me on the bingo card August 5th was going to be a debacle day because the market's feelings were hurt that the Fed didn't cut rates. Now, you do know what will happen if the Fed cuts rates, right? There's one thing I know from Jim Yurio and those guys.
And you're talking now, for clarity purposes, we're talking emergency rate cut, right, Tommy?
Yeah, they're saying the experts, it could be whoever the heck these experts are, 6% chance of emergency rate cut. They just had a Fed meeting last week. And they said, we're going to cut rates, just not today. And then the market threw a fit, a temper tantrum, just like your twin boys probably do, although one knock the other one. Who's the pusher and shover?
Brooks.
Brooke, always in trouble. I mean, if someone's
he doesn't get all the blame, though, but yeah.
right. So the markets were pushing and shoving, and they wanted to put someone in the corner. If the Federal Reserve does emergency rate cut, you could see a stock market crash. Now, if the Federal Reserve does emergency rate cut, you could see that dollar yen trade get wacko times two. So you got to be careful what you wish for, because it could get ugly with that. That's a lot of outside market stuff, but we like talking financials. You know, I'm so disappointed in myself. I said if corn was down last night, I was going to buy it for my personal self. I didn't. I have no corn positions on right now, and doggone corn is up 1 after being down 4 again. You know what that is? It's the funds covering. Today I'll be on Cow Guy Close again, and Scott and I are going to talk about how awesome is that we could have one of the third biggest volatile day in stock market history, and corn and beans had a good day. Mr. Rick, pull up that clip. Yesterday I had a chance to be on Scott the Cow Guy, and we talked about recession incoming. That was something we sent out to premium clients. It's out there in public domain, no big deal, but not everyone subscribes to RFD or has it. Of course, if you like RFD, you can get their app, or you can look at channel 345 on DirecTV. But anyway, we talked about that. Today on Scott the Cow Guy, we're going to talk about how awesome it is that the stock market's doing poorly and grains are rallying. And we're seeing some more of that today. All right, back to the show. A lot of things we could talk about. I have several premiums coming out today. I normally am really consistent about releasing them. And last night I said I need to go for a walk more than I need to have the best premium out tonight. But there's the show has built itself. Today, after I do TV and our normal day job, I'm driving down to Nashville. I'll be hosting Scott the Cow Guy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll be seeing a lot more of Connor Brady. And you may go solo one day. It's good to do it. It's good. It's hard. It's not easy doing this by yourself, but it's a lot better. We're better together, Connor B. What else you got for headlines, buddy?
Hey, the other big headline we got to talk about is I think it's officially announced Kamala Harris is the Democratic nomination. But the big one is that she picked her VP, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, for running mate. And so a lot of different choices. Right. To me, right, on paper, this makes a lot of sense. Right. They got a Midwestern Democrat, right? The battleground states of Michigan, Wisconsin, right? They wanted a Midwest. So I guess from a Democrat, it makes sense to me, Tommy. What do you think?
Well, Mr. Rick, did you see that tweet I sent you?
I just saw it.
Yeah, that's some heavy stuff. I can't even talk about that on here because we're going to hurt some people's feelings. But we will say this. I think the best candidate was the governor of Pennsylvania, and he wasn't picked for certain reasons. The certain powers that be didn't pick him. And if you know, you know. And that's all I'll say about that. That was the best choice. That was the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, they need Pennsylvania. Anyone who's watched Minnesota politics, I love the lakes, but the politics aren't for me. So 10,000 lakes, I love the politics, no bueno, but it's a choice, right?
Sure.
I am shocked. I was walking this morning and it said Tim Walz. I'm like, golly, that didn't seem like a strong candidate. But I'll say this: Kamala didn't pick that candidate. Someone picked that candidate for Kamala. And so there are some very, 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 very smart people politically. There was a guy named he used to be our mayor of Chicago. I liked him. I liked Ram Emanuel. Ram was President Obama's right-hand man forever, through the first election and then a few years in the White House, and then he left and he went and ran for mayor of Rahm Emanuel. He ran for mayor of Chicago. People like him are still working in the back, like getting people organized and stuff. And so when big decisions happen like this, I I, I don't think this is like you and I going to bed saying, should we put our clients in the January 420 corn put or the 410? I think this is a much bigger decision, and I think it was made for her. And maybe it was the right thing, maybe it's not. We'll see in about 90 days. I'm not sure. Were you shocked?
Not really. I mean, I kept an open mind when I saw it
Mhm.
after the fact, right? When I think of a VP, I always think of balancing the ticket. I really thought, I mean, I know JD Vance was the favorite, but I really thought Trump would maybe more like pick someone a little bit different. He went the opposite, really. So with them, bouncing ticket, getting a Midwestern guy, I guess I wasn't surprised on paper. I really thought it was that Pennsylvania guy or this Minnesota guy.
Yeah,
So,
this predict, it's just amazing. It's fun to watch. I mean, I'm all for it. All right, with that, regardless who's president, vice president, anything else, you grow corn, wheat, and beans, you have cattle, and you have risk to manage. I mean, that's what we do.
yep.
I do. Speaking of risk, last night when I was walking, the Dow Jones was up 250. I sold one. It was up 300. I sold one. It was up 350. I sold one. It was up 400. I sold one. I said, "What's going on?" Looked at my phone. It said Nikkei locked limit, or on a halt because it's locked limit. That's extreme volatility. When we can go down as hard as we did, spike VIX like that, rally at night. Now, that very Dow you sold last night for 400 went to down 100 already this morning. I didn't hold it that long, but if you like taking risks, there's stuff happening cowboy style in the outside markets that's just a whole nother level of crazy. But the American farmer is getting the benefit of the funds covering their corn and beans, and that's what I'm going to talk about on Cow Guy today. And it's really cool. So I am telling you, we knew the bearish news going into the weekend in grains. We had more crazy bearish news on the outside. That is not necessary bearish for the grain. So are the funds out of position? Yes, sir.
Right. And I could paint, I mean, I talk a lot about the USDA report on next Monday. And, I could paint a picture where, all these yield estimates, we saw crop conditions come out, right? They're in line with what the USDA is saying. That trend line yield of what is it, Tommy? 181.3 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
180.
flexing on the private side too.
I could see this report where we get that 181 yield. Maybe they even raise it, but all the bearish news is built in. Bearish news, and we get a bullish jump. So we've seen that before on USDA reports. I could see it. Speaking of, go ahead.
My biggest concern for the USDA reports, we rally really, really, really nicely into it and then get fresh bearish news and they have to digest. And then maybe we could rally a little bit out of that. Then we have harvest pressure. So there is that magic close to 3 billion bushels that's unsold in farmer hands. I don't know if it's quite that big anymore, but it's pretty big. And it's definitely sitting there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say crop conditions, they didn't change at all. I mean, they barely changed. Corn, 67% good to excellent versus 68% last week. Last year, they were 57%. Still, the crop conditions, right, they support a good yield number so far. And then the same thing on soybeans, right, just flip-flop. It's 68% good to excellent, raised it a point from last week versus 54% last year. So crop conditions, we'll keep looking at them. But right now, they are supporting a pretty good, a trend line yield. So the question is, are they going to raise it? Are they going to hold that trend line? Are they going to catch us off guard? Maybe drop it a point, right? That's all the debate that we're seeing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And normally on Mondays, that was usually a lot of times the premium on crop conditions. I mean, that was a nothing burger. I can't even waste your time to tell you to
Yep.
watch that. So much more fascinating watching this outside market stuff and what's going on there. Anything
Absolutely.
else on the news headlines? It's been a little
Yep.
quiet on the comment. We got good viewers today, 210, but on the comments, it's been a little quiet. I want to give you all a chance here. If you want to get a hold of us or want to know more, we will text you this two things on the carry trade that Jim Yurio podcast, and I'm just writing it down so I don't forget, and that tweet from that guy, and that chart was just beautiful. Questions, comments, you need to know how to get that tweet or that podcast. I'll put it out there, and then on tomorrow's show, maybe Mr. Rick, we can take a picture of Jim and them's. I got a feeling that's a super informative podcast. I might put it on right after this and just listen to Jim and them and Bob Icino. Yeah, when Bob Icino and Jim Yurio are on Cow Guy in the same day, and there's another guy, they call it Italian Day. So there's three Italians. They go, it's Italian Day on Cow Guy. We got Bob Icino and Jim Yurio, and yeah, they call it Italian Day. All
good.
right, we'll be here all week.
I got two more headlines for you, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
The last one, we're about wrapped up with this one. Brazil's second corn crop, that's the Safrinha corn crop, 91% harvested. I got a feeling in about 2 weeks they're going to have that all wrapped up. Still significantly faster than last year. Last year they were 64% harvested. And so that's the Safrinha corn crop, right? Not quite as big as last year. Still looks like it's going to be a good crop. It is all but harvested, right? That last 10%. And then that big growing region, right, where most of it's grown, Mato Grosso, harvest is basically complete there. And so we'll see, right? Doesn't necessarily bode well for U.S. exports. Feels like that window's closing, but they've made great pace with that second corn crop harvest.
Mm-hmm. Love to have Dr. Cruz on, Brian Bastian. We got to get the commercial guys on that. I know they've been super busy. They had meetings and everything else. I might call a couple of them. It's hard. They have so much going on. One thing,
they're nonstop.
Well, yeah, they it's interesting. Their world's different than our world. I mean, their world, it's a good world. I learn a lot from them. They're very good at what they do. But they're going to have a unique situation here where harvest is going to happen. And because prices are poor, the American farmer is going to try to hold as much as they can. And it's going to be interesting to see what grain elevators do to get a handle on this grain at harvest. You used to work at a grain elevator, I believe one of the alphabet soup ones. What type of things can elevators do to incentivize people to bring grain in at harvest when prices are $3.50 cash? The stage is yours, Connor B.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to speak for Central Illinois. When we've got a really big crop, how much incentivizing do they need to do, right? That crop's got to go somewhere. If we're going to fill bins, they're going to fill bins. And then some of it's got to go to town, right? Maybe
Time's up, Connor. Time's up. I got to interrupt you. Keep going. Full screen,
so I don't know how much incentivizing they have to do right now in terms of getting ownership. Right, that's a different story. We might see a lot of this crop stored. Right, hope for higher prices locally. They'll get control by giving you a few extra points, a little better moisture deal if you put it on delayed price. Right, that's where you price it later, but the elevator owns it. But as far as getting the bushels, I don't know if that's going to be a problem this year, Tommy. I think the big issue right now is if we're sitting on some old crop. If you're a commercial, is how do we get that moved and get space for this big crop that's coming in.
And Advanced Trading does have space charts that we use. Good stuff. Something else I want to talk to. I talked to clients this morning, and they are a little shocked. A lot of my big clients tend to lock in their fertilizer for next year right about now.
Yeah.
Whether they buy a whole train load. I mean, we're talking big farmers, right? They go, I want to buy a whole train of fertilizer. We're talking big purchases. And the powers to be are calling around saying, let's lock in fertilizer. And they're like, no, the price is higher than it was last year, and the market's a third of what it was. It's lost a lot of its 30% of its value. And so there's a little conundrum out there in fertilizer. If you're out there, you're probably not going to have time on this show, but if you're watching the replay, tell us about fertaizer. What are you thinking? Speaking of replay, we got all types of places for you to watch us. Let me see if I can find that little clip of Gina G talking about hey, I noticed I got our new stats yesterday on Monday, Buzzsprout Census Stats. We got a lot more people listening on Spotify and Apple. We really appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to watch more episodes, you can find us on YouTube, Acres TV, or you can listen to us on Apple or Spotify.
All right, good stuff. It's interesting when people call Connor. I've been asking, how'd you hear about us? And it's one of those four, right? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Awesome. What's Rick saying? Oh,
We got
comments.
comments. Yeah.
The fertilizer thing, I was just going to rehash that. It's interesting to see, right? Usually in my area, we're going to see a decent chunk be fall applied. But yeah, with the price dropping, are we going to kick the can down the road? Or are we going to put as little fall applied as possible in the hopes that it comes down? So yes, loved it. Whatever you're doing fertility wise, let us know. Would love to talk about that. One last thing before we get to comments. Tommy, if I told you there was an asset that was up 37% since 2020, take a guess. What would you think it is?
Well, you told me the answer for the show. Farmland.
Leading question. I was going to make you look
This
smart.
is how I got through high school, knowing the answers to the test before I sat down. Griffith High School, class of 1990. Still have ink written on all my hands and elbows and stuff. U.S. cropland values up 37% since 2020. Ring the bell. Farmland's still a great asset, but it is going to correct. We had Jim Rothermick on last week, the land guy, the land talker. Comments, and let's wrap it up. I got to do a couple cattle trades for a couple cattle guys.
Mike, love the content, guys. Crop in North Dakota looking good. Mike's, thanks for watching. Good to hear. North Dakota crop's looking good. Are we talking bin buster, Mike, or is it just really good? That'd be my question.
The bin's already busting with what they forgot to sell last year. So
you're not supposed to say that, Tommy.
No, it's there. And if you guys, if the world knew the amount of bushels that have already went to the elevators, but people didn't price it yet, they may do that thing where they store bushels for 3 years and the elevator calls them and says, your bushel's now worth $0. Thanks for playing. Right.
Yeah.
That's wild. I always wonder, and I always talk to clients. I tell clients, I'm going to treat you as if you were my dad and I was helping you and we were partnered on the farm. I'm going to do what I do for my family. But also when you get the chance to do that, like, you live your whole life to say, if VIX ever spikes from 30 to 60 in an hour, I'm going to sell the heck out of it. When VIX is spiking, you don't do it because it's so scary. And so when the Dow's down 1,200 and it looks like the next trade may be down 2,200, you're just trying to get out and looking for a lifeboat. And so when VIX and volatility spikes, when opportunities arise, you wait your whole life to grab them. And you literally, in the case of yesterday, had a few minutes or literally a few minutes to react to some incredible trades. Some big people made and lost a bunch of money yesterday. Last questions, comments, anything else? We'll get out of here.
I think that's all we got.
All right. Tomorrow, you and I, and then Thursday, Friday, Brady, Connor. I'm probably going to take those days off because it's a little bit of work getting ready for the cow guy. Also, we got a USDA next week. Drew asked me if we're going live. I have no problem with that. I'll be home. We can go live for the USDA.
Yeah, let's plan on it.
And yeah, good stuff. All right, looking for the buttons. We'll see you guys tomorrow. God, I hate to leave. 250 you watching. Do us a favor. Go watch yesterday's video. Hang out there. We're going to email you and text you, ATI Pro Media subscribers, 2 really great pieces of content we didn't produce, but a podcast from Jim Yurio and Bob Icino about the yen carry trade. Take some time to listen to it. And then there's a 90-second tweet that someone just did a little video. If you're a picture guy like me, that's going to help make sense of what happened in the market yesterday. Everyone have a great day. As always, if you need something, give us a call. Connor B., Assumption, Illinois. Time Versafi, Valparaiso, Indiana. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.